Morning, everyone. Thank you for the invite. Dorothy messaged Jonny just a couple of weeks ago, and for some reason we said yes, so we're here. For anyone that doesn't know me, I'm Debra, my husband Jonny, and our two boys, Josh and Isaac. I was brought up coming along to this church, spent the first 23 years of my life coming here. I'm Stephen and Catherine's daughter, which means I'm Kevin and Dorothy's favourite niece. So I was here for 23 years and then got married to Jonny here, and then he whisked me away to Cumbria. So we live just up past T-Bay, between T-Bay and Kirby Stephen now. Jonny's a farmer, a sheep farmer, so for the last few months there's been a lot of talk of sheep and lambs in our house, as I know there will have been for quite a few of you here, quite a few sheep farmers around, so I'm sure you're fed up of seeing sheep. So this morning we're going to talk about sheep. So hopefully we're going to start off with the powers of technology, a little bit of quiz on how well do you know your sheep. There we go, lovely. Okay. Hopefully it won't be too hard. Let's see if this little gadget will work as well. So, how well do you know your sheep? Maybe let the non-farmers have a go to start with, and then farmers might have to help. We'll see. Does anyone know? That is a sheep. Yes, that's a sheep. Well done. It's a good start. Does anyone know what breed that sheep is? Anybody? It is a herdwick. Well done, yeah. You get a lot of them up in the lakes near us. Okay. Next one. Does anyone know that one? Go on, Josh. It is. It's a blue-faced Leicester. Okay. Go on, Kevin. What's that one? Oh, should we just go home now, Jonny? That one. Anyone know what this one is? Someone's muttering it somewhere. It is a Jacob sheep. It doesn't even, the horns on it don't look real. It looks like a little plastic toy sheep. This one. They are Valley Black Noses. Well done. Oh, hands have shot up down here. Josh, what is it? It is a swale. Anybody recognise that particular swale? This will be the farmers now I'm talking to. It was a particularly famous one, a world record-breaking one. No, it was called Notorious. It was a record price for the swales. Okay. This one. Go on, boys. It is a Texel. Anyone know his name? Go on, Ken. It's in there somewhere.
Is it Black Records? No.
Double Diamond. Was that one another record price one? If you say so, Ken. These ones? Mules. Anybody recognise them? Colin, you recognise them? Yeah? Bob? They're your sheep. You should recognise them. Okay, yeah, they are mule lambs. Go on, Josh, what's that one? These are our fell sheep, aren't they? What type of sheep is that one? A rough fell sheep. Josh, what's its name? That is Belter, well done. That is one of Josh's sheep. And then I think I have one more. That one. Does anyone know the name of that one? Isaac, what's that one? Ewan. That is Ewan. Does Oliver have a Ewan? Does Oliver have a Ewan? No. Ewan is, or it was, a popular baby toy that makes white noise. That's our Ewan the Third is that one. We've gone through a few Ewans. They don't all come with the ear tag though. That's a special Capstick accessory, don't they? Okay. So, pardon? Should have 2 tags. It did have a ring on its tail, but its tail's dropped off. So we were looking at sheep a little bit this morning. Sheep are referenced over 500 times in the Bible. And in Bible times, shepherds spent a lot of time with their sheep. They would most likely know them all by name. Like those last few, we knew the names, they had a specific name. But yes, in Bible times, shepherds spent a lot of time with their sheep, and every sheep was important to them. And his goal was to keep every sheep safe. The Bible tells us that God knows all about us. He knows us by name. He knows all about us, more than just our family breeding. He actually knows our thoughts and our actions. Psalm 139, there we go, says, Lord, you have examined me. You know all about me. You know when I sit down and when I get up. You know my thoughts before I think them. You know where I go and where I lie down. You know well everything I do. Lord, even before I say a word, you already know what I'm going to say. You're all around me, in front and in back. You have put your hand on me. Your knowledge is amazing to me. It is more than I can understand. So we have an amazing God that knows all about us. One more sheep for us this morning. Does anybody know anything about this one? Put your hands down. I'm sure some of you will have come across this one. It is Fiona. Well done, Ken. This is Fiona the sheep. She was a Scotch mule sheep, and she was found on a small Scottish island. She'd managed to climb or possibly fall slightly down a bit of a cliff face and got stuck on the shoreline of this little island. But she was quite happy. She wasn't injured at all. The SSPCA, the Scottish Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, said that she had ample grazing and they were quite happy that she was okay where she was. But she was stuck, and she'd been stuck there for over 2 years. The farmer couldn't get to her anymore. He tried, but because of the rocks and things, he struggled to get there. The Coast Guard said it was too risky. They wouldn't do it. Eventually, a group of farmers got together, and it's on YouTube if you want to have a look it up, and with 900 metres of rope and a winch and a harness, they managed to rescue Fiona the sheep. And she was clipped. They got 9 kilograms of wool off her, which I'm sure she was relieved to get rid of. And she's become a bit of a celebrity sheep, really. She's known as the loneliest sheep in the country. You can now go and visit her at Dalscone Farm Park in Dumfries, where she's just had her first set of twins this year. If you wanted to go and see her, you can do. So that's Fiona the sheep. I thought this morning we'll do our own little sheep rescuing. So, I'm going to get a couple of chairs up. Rods in the air. Rods up. Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. See if you can rescue Fiona. Gently now. Come on, Josh.
Just gently this time.
Okay. So in that story of rescuing the sheep, it reminds us of the kind of care that God has for us. He knows each of us by name, but he doesn't want any of us to go astray and be lost. But mankind have gone astray. We try and do things our way without God, but God sent his son Jesus to rescue us. And Jesus explains this in the parable that he tells of the lost sheep, which we're going to look at in a second. In the story of the lost sheep, the Pharisees and the teachers weren't happy because Jesus was associating with people that they didn't like and that they didn't think were important or worthy of his time. But Jesus is trying to show them in this parable that God isn't interested in who's the greatest or who's the most righteous or who's the most valuable sheep. God loves each and every one, even though he knows all about you. He still loves you. And the shepherd could have said, it's only one sheep, it doesn't matter. It's too much effort or it's too risky, like rescuing Fiona the sheep. But God says, no, it is worth it. You are worth it. You're worth so much that he risks sending Jesus to die for you. Sometimes we can feel a bit lost and maybe unworthy or unimportant. But remember that you are important to God and he loves you. Sometimes we might think that we're quite okay on our own. We don't need rescuing. Fiona was happy where she was. We don't need rescuing. But the Bible tells us that all have fallen short. Romans 3 verse 23, all have sinned and are not good enough for God's glory. The only way to heaven is through him. So we'll just watch a quick YouTube video of the story of the lost sheep. And then I'll hand over to Jonny for a couple more points.
Okay, it's good to be with you this morning. I've been coming to Chipping for 19 years now, and I've always been made feel very welcome here, and it's been a place where I've been challenged, I've been well taught, and I've grown in my faith, and I just want to thank you for that. And as I look around, I see a lot of people who've really encouraged me over the years, so I'll just take this opportunity to thank you. Okay, sheep are the animal that is mentioned most in the Bible. It often talks about sheep being prone to wander and drifting, as we often do, away from God. And it talks about their need for a shepherd or a guide to protect and rescue them. One such verse is one of the key verses of the Bible, I think, and it's in Isaiah, 400 years before Jesus was born, but it says, "We all like sheep have gone astray, each of us has turned to his own way, but the Lord has laid on him the sins of us all." We're just going to briefly look at my job as a hill farmer or a shepherd for a few minutes, and just to give you some illustrations, really. So, can we have the first slide, Steve, please? So that area there in yellow is the fell or the hill where my family's sheep that's where most of them live for most of the year. It's my job in January would be to go and gather the sheep up, and we would start feeding them. And if you go to the fell at between 9 and 9:30 in the morning, you'll see my family sheep will always gather in the area that's circled in red. They'll all go to that area. So if you went in the afternoon, they'd be spread out. But if you go between 9 and 9:30, they'll always be there. The other circles are other neighbours. There's 4 farms that put sheep out in winter. The rest just put them out in summer. So the sheep are more punctual than I am for my dinner. And right, I'm off my notes now. So yeah, and so if you just pop on next slide, Steve, and it's just a picture, just to visualise it, just a random day of feeding. I think it's normally about 400 sheep there in winter. So why am I telling you this? Well, if sheep are well fed, they're less likely to stray or wander. Notice I said less likely, I didn't say never. But we need in our own lives to make sure that we are well fed spiritually so that we don't stray or wander. Pastors, speakers, church leaders have a big responsibility in this, but we also have a responsibility to make sure that we encourage and support, pray for them. And also we have an individual responsibility that we make sure we feed ourselves in our Bible readings and daily devotions and prayers. Our church this year at New Year decided to do New Testament in a year, and Debra's been really studying hard, and it's been great to see her grow in her faith as she's been really spending more time with God. It's been really encouraging. Okay, so my next point, the fell sheep know who they belong to. So if I drive up there with my tractor, the neighbour's sheep wouldn't follow my tractor, and vice versa. My neighbour's tractor was a Zeta, but I don't think they were prejudiced. I just think it was. So, but they know that, and they also know your voice. Sometimes if they're a bit slow in coming in, you shout them, or if they're mixed, my sheep would come and the neighbours would look at you and they wouldn't come the same. they know the shepherd's voice. And if we just have the next slide up. So do we know who we belong to, like the sheep? Do we know our shepherd's voice? So I just want a few volunteers up now. Dave Cornwell, can you be one of them, please? Or Val? This is Debra's idea, so if it doesn't work. So I just want 2 or 3 ideas. Yeah, Debra's just going to blindfold Stephen. Sorry, Stephen, like I haven't made your job hard enough this morning. But can we have 2 or 3 more people up at the front, please? All you have to do is blare it. And Stephen's got to work out whether he knows who he belongs to, whether he knows his father's voice. So Stephen doesn't know the order, does it? No. Just one more, maybe. Thanks, Pete. So we'll just start at this side and we'll move along.
So you to do your best sheep impression.
Do your best sheep blare.
No, one at a time.
One
We'll
at a
go
time.
with this one first.
All right, okay. Right, 1, 2, 3 or 4, Stephen. Bang on, right. Well done, Stephen. Thank you very much. You can sit down now. You know who you belong to. So, excellent. Okay, in 2016, our next door neighbour got fed up of farming and decided he didn't want to keep sheep anymore. And so he was looking for a mug or someone stupid enough to take on his flock. And for some reason he asked me. In 2018, we got a little bit more land and I bought 80 extra sheep. And to get them into the flock, to get them hefted and knowing their area, I thought the best way to do this was I bought them in October, so they stopped in for mating in November, and I thought the best way would be to feed them with the flock straight away. So I did that, and it worked for most of them. But there was 12 of them would wander right to the bottom of the fell, and I would go and get them, and the next day they would wander off, and then I'd go and get them, and then they would wander off, and they took a few more with them as well. I want to encourage you this morning to don't stray, because sheep follow each other. Don't stray, because you'll encourage others to follow. Those sheep had everything they needed. They had good nutritious food. They had someone to take care of them. There's antibiotics, calcium, foot stuff in the tractor, everything they needed to be looked after for. But yet they chose to put themselves at risk and go to the other end where they weren't going to get looked after as well. And they all didn't just put themselves at risk, but they put the next generation at risk. They put the lambs at risk. But I kept going and getting them. I didn't give up on them. Why did I not give up on them? Because they were valuable to me. And we are valuable to Jesus. If we don't know Jesus, we are lost to God. But this doesn't mean we're not important to God. Because if you lose something, it's something important to you that you want to be reunited with. For example, if I had a sweet wrapper in my pocket from last week and I lost it today, I wouldn't know. But if I lost my car keys on my phone, something valuable, I would know. I would want to be reunited with it. And it's the same with God. He wants us all to be found. Okay, my last point is in 2018, at the end of February, Debra said to me one night, she said, it's forecast a lot of snow tomorrow. And I smiled and I just said, yeah, it's been forecast. They've been forecasting snow all winter and it's never come. And then the next day, I was feeding the sheep on the fell, and it was quite a calm day, and I was up to my knees in it, and I thought, I've never seen as much snow in my life. And so anyway, the next day, it was horrible, and there was about 70, 80 mile an hour gales, and it was blowing like mad. And my dad came with me, and we went up to the fell, and the sheep weren't in the red circle. And we looked for them a little bit, and they weren't there, and we could hardly see. It was blizzarding so bad, we could hardly see beyond the bonnet of the tractor. We got really, really disorientated. We weren't sure where you were going. It was a bit unsafe with all the hollers and what have you with the big drifts. And he said, we're just going to have to go home. Now, I'd never not fed my sheep in the 15 years previous since leaving school, and I was bothered about them. And that night it was below -10. It was really cold, and the drifts were massive the next day. I went out the next day. the drifts were huge. We struggled to get anywhere, thawing water pipes and all sorts. And I remember going to the first field, and there were 72 sheep in that field, and I had to climb over the walls, so they had no chance of getting through the gate. And I was chucking all the food over the walls, and as I fed them, I could tell there was loads missing, and then they started breaking out of the drifts. A lot of the sheep broke out of the drifts, but there was still 9 missing that were to dig out. And I was really worried about the fell sheep, and as we were digging these sheep out in all the fields, I just kept praying. I just kept saying, "May none be lost. May none be lost." And eventually got to the fell, and we went to the red circle, and they weren't there. And I was like, where on earth are they? So we went down to where I thought they might be, where they often go when it's bad weather, and there was these massive, massive drifts that you bury cars in. And I was shouting, and nothing was coming out of the drifts. And I went to Dad, and I said, "What do I do? Do I start digging?" It's like a needle in a haystack. There was over 400 sheep, I think, on that fell. And he thought, and he just said, "I think we'll go down to what he called the ling, the bottom of the fell." And we did. And it wasn't too bad, because a lot of the snow had cleared in a lot of areas, so we travelled not too bad. And then it got to the state where we couldn't get any further with the tractor. And I ran ahead with my dog and waded through some of these big snow drifts. And there was loads and loads of snow in this particular valley. And then I got to the top of the hill over the valley. And as I looked down, there they were together. All the sheep were there in a heap. What joy I had seeing those sheep coming towards me. They were coming towards me one at once, struggling to get through the snow drifts. I had to flatten it down. But what joy I had seeing those sheep come towards me. Every single sheep was in that group. You see, when the storm came, they went into that sheltered valley and huddled together like penguins. They stood really close. They looked after each other, supported each other, kept each other warm and sheltered until the storm ended and the shepherd returned. Is that not God's desire for us, his flock, his church? Aren't we meant to live? We're not meant to live the Christian life alone, but be part of a bigger body to support each other, encourage each other in our faith. Hebrews 10, verse 25 says, "And let us not neglect meeting together, as some people do, but encourage one another, especially now that the day of his return is drawing near." The Good Shepherd, Jesus, is coming back for his flock, the church. Sheep between the time of Moses and Jesus were used as sacrifices for mankind's sin. But the Good Shepherd Jesus laid down his life for his sheep so that no one need be lost, that we needn't perish, and we can have everlasting life with him. My prayer is this morning that none may be lost in here. Jesus says at the end of the parable of the lost sheep in Matthew 18, verse 14, "In the same way, your Father in heaven is not willing that any of these little ones should be lost. He wants you to be saved, to repent and believe in him." So we're going to sing now, "The Lord is my shepherd," and the prayer team will be available for anybody that wants prayer or a chat at the end. So yeah, I'll just conclude what I've done. So sheep are less likely to stray if they're well fed. Sheep know who they belong to. They know the shepherd's voice. They follow the shepherd. If pregnant sheep stray, they put the next generation at risk. When the sheep stray, it encourages others to follow. Sheep are valuable to the shepherd, and he doesn't want any to be lost. So, thank you very much.